So this is the overall system that everyone here is learning. So in short, it's create a strategy that's attractive to your ideal customer. So going through the business strategy, having your offer in place. And as I kind of covered in the main modules, don't worry about getting it right the first time, because the reality is you don't have as much like all the perfect data to know exactly what your offer should be at this point. We just want to start with a V1, move in that direction, learn, and then re-implement what we're learning and refine it over time. So it's build a business strategy, and then obviously optimize your profile and your website and have a content strategy. Today, what we're going to talk about is creating the daily content. So I broke this into 3 stages because it's strategy, distribution, and sales. So basically, you're creating a strategy or an offer in this phase, and then you're distributing that offer in this phase. So it's through content, lead magnets, outreach, cold outreach, warm outreach, and engagement. So all of these items work towards actually distributing, like letting people know what you do and building their trust that you are the person to help them solve their problems or do the thing. And then that moves into sales down here. So what I want to talk about today was probably one of the main chunks of what you're going to do is content. So the reason I made these 3 yellow, so this, and this, is because these are the 3 most important parts of the whole thing. So if you said, I can't do all of this, and if you were like to me, I need to focus on 3 things, I would tell you to focus on having a really good offer, creating content that drives attention towards you, and then being good at converting them into sales calls. Because, and I didn't include the sales calls part here, because you will just get good at that over time from being, as again, the more you talk to people, the better your offer will get, and eventually it will just become second nature. So if they're the first 3 skills that I wanted you to work on, it's going to be these 3. Today I'm going to talk about daily content, and we're going to look like this. I'm going to show you a workflow, and then I'm going to show you some examples on my profile of different types of these posts that I've done. And I just will talk through how it turns into sales conversations. So as a baseline, everyone's welcome to do 7 posts, but as a baseline, everyone should be doing 5 posts a week, and you want to post those at 9 a.m. in your local time zone. Reason for that is, unless you're selling to like a completely different time zone, you should post at exactly the same time. And I just say there's no like exact magical time that you should post that is better. The main thing is you're picking a time and you're posting at exactly the same time, and towards the morning of where your buyers are, because they're probably going to, as part of the workday, they're probably on their phone commuting or whatever, and that's when they'll go on LinkedIn on their mobile. And what you want to do is get them into the habit of coming to your page for the little golden nugget of information that you're going to provide every day, or it could be, a bit about you, your personal story, and everything like that. So, everyone talks about the algorithm and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of it is kind of like nonsense, really, because we don't really know exactly what the algorithm, how it works, because it's not publicly sourced. The way to think about it is you just want to build up your fans. So the fans are people who show up to your page every day to see what you're saying. Like, that's it. So don't worry about like whether the algorithm changes and all this type of stuff, because at the end of the day, if you have a marketing plan or business strategy in place that is attractive to the right people, and then you're posting content that is useful to those people, they will come back and they will start to build trust for you. And then that's kind of how we've moved them down the line. That's how we moved them down the trust line in towards sales. So 5 LinkedIn posts a week, 9 a.m. The 5 types are, so educational posts, proof posts, personal story and USP, which is like personal / story / USP is your unique value or what you bring to the table specifically. Insights, so this is like expert level information that as a result of what you're doing effectively. And then inspiration or aspirational content. So we'll go into educational. So educational, as an example, is going to be like your how-to post. So it's like how to do a specific thing that leads to a specific outcome. So I'll just go on my page and I'll find one. I just have to let this person in also. So got a challenge for you today. So educational could be this one as well. So this is, it's not a how-to hook, but it's like, if I was starting from zero today, here's how I had a grammar error here. Here's how I gain 20,000 LinkedIn followers in 6 months and sign 3 to 5 new clients per month along the way. So I did exactly this, and I just wrote a post about it. So I'm educating, explaining how to solve the problem. So the problem that I'm solving here is gaining 20,000 followers and also signing clients. And I've just been a bit specific about how many clients. And I've given them steps. So do this. So I've explained what it is and explained how to do it, explained what it is and explained how to do it. Sorry, there's someone here again. So let them in. And then I always wrap it up into an action. So if whether you've got to the content stage of the course yet, so we start with getting their attention and gaining their interest. So this is going to be getting their attention. So it's, if I was starting from zero today, you make the people think, oh, this is for me, because most people are figuratively starting from zero on LinkedIn because they haven't posted and they're going from 0 to 1 effectively. You're catching their attention then with the outcome, or sorry, gaining their interest with the outcome. So here's how I get 20,000 followers and 3 to 5 clients a month. Then we want to give them the value. So we explain how. So these are the steps. And then we wrap it up with action and then a visual. So the action is like, if you do this, you'll get this. So it's like, if you do this, if you spend 5 hours a week, if you invest 5 hours a week into LinkedIn for 6 months, you'll get this desired outcome. So kind of reiterating what I said up here. And then I always put in the video. So the video is key. I'll be talking about that in a second. But the video is massive for building trust. For the same reason now, like everyone here is just listening to me talk. You're hearing the words I'm saying, but you're also kind of understanding how I am more as a person and how I think about things. And when you ask me questions and I'm able to come up with answers quickly, that's showing that I know my stuff. I know I've done this before, so I'm able to answer a question quickly. So that's demonstrating expertise effectively and kind of nuance in lots of different scenarios. So by having lots of videos of just time of you explaining roughly the same topic to someone over and over and over and over again, you're reducing the doubt in their mind that you're basically proving over and over again that you are good at it and you are an expert at that thing. So an educational post basically educates them specifically on how to do something. Next one is proof. So this is more like kind of like a case study, where it would be, case study would be, I did a couple of these a while ago. Sorry, now it's just taking me a couple of seconds. Internet always lets me down when I need it. Jer Flanagan. So this is a case study. So this is a person who's a ghostwriter. LinkedIn, he's actually an SEO marketer, but he wants to get into ghostwriting on LinkedIn. So I'm basically explaining how I helped him. So this is like, I introduced the situation. He's inside the program. He wants to do this. And then here's what we did together. So this is the value section. First we did this, then we did this. And then I had the action. So it's like, when he, here he is, and this is what will happen once he implements this over time. You can do this too, kind of thing is what I went for. And then I did a video again, explaining in more detail. I can't cover like a massive amount of nuance in 2 to 250 words, which is what this post is. I can cover a lot more ground and specific information in a video again. So like, I'm a massive proponent of Loom videos, especially now because of ChatGPT. I know you're all using ChatGPT for content, but people know that people will sniff the ChatGPT out of your content. And the way to kind of circumvent that is to regularly post videos to show that you're actually there. Because if you never post videos, it could be just ChatGPT spitting out content over and over again, because a lot of people do that. And there's absolutely zero value in that, and you're wasting your time. The videos break through that kind of barrier of, oh, is this just ChatGPT talking to me? Because people don't trust ChatGPT yet. It's not good enough. Insights are kind of pulling back the curtains on something that I did to demonstrate my expertise. So that could be, I used to dread selling on sales calls, was the one I did a couple of days ago. So basically I want to show them or explain in the roughly in the form of a story, like why I had the problem that I have and make it relatable to them. So one of the messages that I talk about is like I'm not good on sales calls and I don't like doing sales calls. Um, so I give the people an insight. This is something that I know a lot of people will resonate with because most people who aren't salespeople just hate doing sales calls because it's daunting. You have to get on, you have to pitch someone who you've probably never talked to before to give you a load of money, and that's hard. And it's especially, yeah, that's a very hard thing to do. So what I did, I just explained how I got around that because as a business owner, I have no choice. I have to get around it. So I put what this post says is I basically put systems in place and use my personal brand and use the trust that I build up with my content and some pre-nurturing documentation that I send through, which you'll be learning in the program. So basically what it says is I used to hate sales calls because I would hop on and people would expect me to pitch them and they'd ask me awkward questions and I'd mess it up. What I started doing was posting content. I would only get on sales calls after talking to people sort of in the DMs or beforehand so that I knew I'd ask them a good few questions and I know that they know a bit about me. And then I already send them, I send them 2 documents beforehand. So I'll send them educational posts or proof posts that I've done. And I'll also send them a pre-call kind of like a sales letter. And the sales letter breaks down everything that I do and gives them ideas on costings but doesn't tell them exactly, and also shows them loads of my social proof. So I load them up with social proof beforehand, and that's what I explain in this post. So I kind of give an insight as to a problem that I had that someone else probably has too, and then I give them insight as to how I fix that for myself. So that's kind of like pulling back the curtains on me solving my own problem, if that makes sense. And that can be applied generally for anyone. By it doesn't have to even be a problem that you had, because if you're probably looking at this thinking, yeah, but this is LinkedIn, so how can I apply this to me? So if your customer has that problem as well and you've worked with anyone who has a problem, which you probably have because that's why they employ you, what was the scenario that they were in? What did you help them to do, in the form of like give the story about what did you help them to do, how are they feeling about it, how did it overcome, and what was the result? The difference between, let's say, an insight and an educational post. Educational post is more like how to do this, whereas insight is more like how I helped X do this, or how I was in a certain, me or my client were in a certain scenario, or my friend, or if you don't, or you just could be someone hypothetical. My friend was in this scenario. Here's what we did to fix the problem, basically. And they're really good, again, for just demonstrating different variations of you knowing what you're talking about. Then you have last type of the 5 is inspirational, aspirational. So I did a post before about my goals. So everyone wants to, they don't just want to be sold, they also want to know you and they want to like you. So I did a post about my goals for the year. I think it was building a 750,000 a year business, or I did my 2024 goals. People like goals because I think it was around the new year, because they were setting their own goals too. They wanted to see what kind of goals maybe I was setting, because they know me from seeing my content every day, because they come back to look for it. So they want to see what goals I was setting, so then maybe they could set something. It would urge them to set goals of a similar nature, or whatever that might be. Other aspirational posts could be, yeah. So this would be kind of another one. You could say this is aspirational in this. Oh no, this isn't. Sorry. Just 1 second. Sorry, I'll let this load up. Yeah, so this is kind of like more personal, aspirational stuff, and it was a picture of me. It's usually a picture of you that goes on the end of the aspirational post, where I think I was really stuck in a rut this 1 week, and I took a couple of days off, and it gave me a huge amount of clarity. And after I took a few days off, I felt a lot better, and I had a lot more clear mind. And inspirational doesn't always have to be, oh, you need to shoot for the stars and do this, that, and the other. It could be inspiration to do something slightly different that might get you going or get the creative juices flowing. So in this case, I was reminded people that it's okay to take a day off. And that if they do that over the long term, that's probably something that's going to help them. So this is more towards you would never do a post like this from a company page, but this is a personal brand. So at the end of the day, it's me creating the content every day. So we don't want to always just talk about case studies and company stuff and whatever. You want to get an element of you in there, because that's kind of the glue that brings it all together, really. Again, part of you doing the videos is them listening to you as a person, and then listening to you in terms of the things that you can do for them. So you have to tick all those boxes. There's lead magnets as well. I'm not going to talk about this, but because I'll do another separate workshop on that. But basically, a lead magnet is where you offer, seen one just up here. So where you offer something in return. Actually, this is one that went well for a person in the program. So you create a document of some sort. It can even just be a video. This was like a playbook. And then you say, if you comment, I'll send it to you, basically. And then he got 234 comments for this one. So it did pretty well. I think he booked 4 or 5 calls up the back of it. I'm going to do a full other workshop on these. But so it's 5 LinkedIn posts per week. But then every 2 to 3 weeks, I would do a lead magnet as well and just swap out one of these. I usually do these on Wednesdays, but we'll stick to the main 5 for now. So that's the text element of the posts, but there's more to it. So there's visuals, as you've seen some of the videos. We'll go into a bit more detail, and then CTAs. So to create content that generates leads, you can do these text posts all day long. You can do 7 days a week. You follow these pillars. But if you're not adding more value in the form of visuals on the top, not necessarily every day, but at least some days, then you won't get as many leads, because people don't trust text as much as they used to because of ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is our friend, or Claude is our friend, because it can help us create content, but it can also help everyone else create content. And there's a lot of people out there just posting text, and it just doesn't work. So I'd rather you invest, 2 hours of your time, an hour and a half of your time creating the text, and then an extra half an hour recording a couple of videos and making a couple of visuals every week, and get 10 leads a week, say 10 sales conversations. But if you still spend that hour and a half and just do text and you get 1, it's not a good return on your investment. So that extra bit of time creating the videos goes a long way. 3 types of visuals I recommend. Selfie videos or Loom videos. There's other. I use the software of Loom. And then there is photos that are jam-packed with valuable information, and then photos of you or whoever, people to build trust and likability. So I'll just go through a couple of these. I just want to check one thing. Yeah. I'll go through a couple of these on my timeline. So I'm sure you've seen a lot of these. So today I posted a video. So the question is, what would you put in the video? The most simplest version, the easiest way to do it, is to write the text post and then start recording over the text post in video. You don't have to worry about making slideshows and all that type of stuff. As a starting point, this is completely fine, and not just as a starting point, as a continuing point as well. So the reason for this is, in the video you talk in a lot more depth, and maybe give some examples of what you've said in the text. So what I typically do is I pull up the text on a screen here, and then I'd have another tab ready with an example for a part of it. So like I could show something here. Like this is talking about, yeah, I could. So it's instead of selling you blocks of time. So this is talking about having an offer. So what I might do in this case is that I'd have my offer sheet ready to go, and then I'd show a couple of examples of offers that I've pre-written as part of this video to just go into a bit more detail and maybe talk about some examples to just break down the text in a lot more detail. So you're adding that level of information to it. And the people who book the calls with you or reach out to you, they're going to watch the video before they do that. If you just think of it logically, they're going to see this post. Say if they're a consultant or a freelancer, they'll say, okay, I'm selling my time. They'll read this, but text usually won't always be enough to get them over the line if it's their first couple of times they've seen your post. If they've seen you post 100 times before, that's different. But if they're reading like your first or second or third time, reading you for the first, second, or third time, they're going to watch the video. They're going to see what's in it to make sure that you know what you're talking about. You're not bluffing. So videos are really good. The other option then is to actually just do like videos like this. So like just have a workflow built and talk about that. I have various different ones in here. So you'll see videos from me. I did a video on this the last day. As an organic customer acquisition thing. I just screenshotted some examples and stuck them on it and talked about this in the video. So workflows are really good as well because they're logical and you can explain something through someone. As part of building your offer, I'd advise everyone to have a workflow anyway, a master workflow. And you can build a lot of your videos around that workflow as well, because you kind of want to indoctrinate people on the idea that system or workflow is what you need to create. So as is covered in the things, it's everyone wants to create a high value solution to a problem rather than selling your time. So this is my high value solution. And what all of my videos, posts and everything does is I talk through various parts of this and explain why they're so important and show how they link. So by using workflows, that's just a really solid visual way to do that. So that's videos. I'd always try and do 3 a week, ideally, and have them about 5 to 8 minutes every time, because that gives people the opportunity to see you at scale. They see you multiple times. Not everyone is going to see you pop up on your timeline every day. So you want to give them as much opportunity to see you as possible speaking, because they want to hear you speaking before they're probably going to reach out. Quotas jam-packed with value. So examples of those are like cheat sheets. Let me see one here. So cheat sheets are visuals, where I did one a couple of weeks ago. This is a photo of me, which I'll get onto in a second. Yeah, so this is like a visual explanation. Again, the visual builds on the text. So this is the 5-part framework. I told them what the framework is, but then I also wanted to explain how it works in a bit more detail, because a picture says 1,000 words, and that's very true, especially on LinkedIn. So someone might read that text and they could be like, okay, that makes sense. But until they actually see what it looks like, they may not fully understand how it can come together or what it looks like in reality. So what I did was I basically just showed them how to do it. And I did a bit of it like Inception here as well, because I screenshotted the post itself. And then they would have seen, wow, he did that in this post. So it would have kind of double clicked in their mind. And the visual you're looking at. So that was kind of half joke or Inception or whatever you want to call that. So that's an example of a value pack visual. Others are cheat sheets. Cheat sheets always do really well because they give a lot of information away quickly, and you don't have to, they give a lot of information away quickly. So the cheat sheets tend to do well because they get a lot of things for minimal effort. All they have to do is click once, and they don't even have to swipe. And all that information is just on the screen in front of them. This is another one here that did really well. It was like 12,000 impressions. So it was okay. But what it was is basically saying, don't write content with ChatGPT. by itself, use it to help you. And then I have like lots, these are my top performing posts, and I can't zoom in here, but it shows all the hooks. So people would see, okay, this hook got 54,000 impressions, this hook got 54,000 impressions, blah, blah, blah. So they can kind of see what type of hooks worked really well for me so that they can go and do it themselves. And then the last type of visual is going to be a photo of me, of yourself, because this is the personal side of the personal brand. So I don't go, there's people who post visuals like every day. I definitely don't suggest that that's a good idea. I usually do visuals of me or photos of me on like the personal or USP posts. So here I did like a mindset shift one. So this is kind of aspirational or inspirational more so. The mindset shift around business and how it took me ages to actually figure out business. It took 4 years of failure and things not going so well to figure it out. But now I have, and blah, 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 and all my story. But then I added a photo of me just to kind of say, okay, this is actually coming from a human, not ChatGPT. And this was just me writing one day. This day, the story behind this is this is a building in my room, and I just got my fiance to go around and take loads of photos of me posing. So this isn't natural. I just wanted to take lots of photos. So I have them for my posts. So if you ever see a photo like this with green chairs in the background, it was taken on one day in the space of about an hour, and I was cringing taking throughout because I hate photos. I hate people taking photos of me. But I have to do it because otherwise everyone will just think I'm AI. So that's text and visuals. Last one is CTA. So might seem super simple, but if you've done all this work now, you've written the text, you've done the visual, you record the video, you added the photos, you pose like a influencer on some fancy couches in your building. If you don't tell the people what to do next, they probably won't do anything because you're not inviting them to it. It's like a CTA might seem so simple, like it's like if a door is closed, like if I end it, just figuratively speaking, if I end this in a full stop, that's a very definite finish, as in like I'm not saying that there's anything next. Whereas if I say go here, they will most likely go there, just on a very simple basis. So there's two types of CTAs that we do depending on where you are, what your funnel is like, and where you are in your journey. So one is just going to be PS DM me, which I'd suggest the majority of you do. So my thing with landing pages is either have a really good one or don't have one, because if you have a bad one, it will actually block people from speaking to you. So for most people in here, I would suggest something like this. So want to desired outcome, ? DM me, keyword, whatever it is relative to the thing, to learn more about how I can help. So I'd suggest most people do that. If you have a really well optimized, I'll go first. If you have a link here to a landing page and it's not very good, one, you won't get them to DM you, so you don't get to talk to them. Two, they'll go on your website and they might get confused. And if they get confused, or your website's like clunky or doesn't work very well, or the messaging isn't proper, they'll just get lost and go somewhere else on the internet, because to get onto your website, they have to go off LinkedIn, which means they have to go off your page. So you've kind of lost them. So by passing them over to your website, you want to be sure that converts like about 3%, at least 3% of traffic is a marker to look for. If your website isn't converting that, then there's an issue with it. And until it does, I would just focus on getting as many sales conversations in your DMs as possible. When you do have a good website, I think I had one here. I just got mine updated recently. Then here I have a lead magnet, so I'm sending them to it, which is what I was doing at this point. I wouldn't suggest anyone do that, so I'm not going to show that. Yeah, so when you have a good website, is again, you can see similar structure. 1, 2, desired outcome in time frame without pain. Click here to learn more about how I can help. and then just a link to your, or my website in this case, and a link to your website. But again, if your website's not good, don't have it, because it'll just, it's just a blocker of the flow. Good websites look like having clear, benefit-driven copy towards your ideal customer, having a load of social proof as much as possible. So social proof, there's a video here, so video VSL, so it explains everything in detail, clear CTAs, loads of results, loads of social proof, what you get, and everything explained logically. And if you can't have these things, then I would suggest not having a website, definitively. Then it's just a case of you either get leads booked onto your calendar, or either chatting to them in the DMs, and then if it's DMs, you use the EasyBook system, which is part of the program as well. Or in Calendly, you have a couple of questions that you set up to disqualify or qualify people. Don't just ask them what their revenue is, because that's like a really bad question to ask. It's quite rude. There's other ways to get around that, but you have to have questions that basically allow them you to qualify them. A lot of the time, it's a bit more manual, but if you just ask for a link to their LinkedIn profile, go on their LinkedIn profile, and you'll be able to kind of tell if they're qualified or not in most cases. If they are qualified, then you have a sales conversation and you move into the sales process. If they are not qualified, then I would look for having a downsell, an easy win downsell, like a lower scope availability, ideally like a product or something like that. If you're in the earlier stages, again, I wouldn't worry about this downsell just now. Just focus on the sales conversations. But if you're making lots of sales, you're going to have lots of leads that aren't qualified. It's just part of the game. So like, 80% or 90% of your followers on LinkedIn are not going to be qualified, no matter what you're selling. So you want to have a downsell to capture value from those, whether it's $100 product or $1,000 service or something like that ready to go. It's just having one of these. But again, earlier in the process, I wouldn't worry too much about it.